Madam Chairman, at 7 p.m. And since you only have 4 here, you'll need to vote until we get the 5th person. Just letting you know.
Thanks, Scott. Good evening. I call to order the regular meeting of the Minnehaha County Planning Commission, and I will begin with a few introductory comments. As a courtesy to everyone here tonight, please make sure that all cell phones have been silenced. Please note that tonight's Planning Commission meeting will be rebroadcast via CityLink and posted on the www.minnehahacounty.gov site for viewing by the general public. Any final action taken on the conditional use permit applications tonight will take effect 5 working days following this meeting unless a written appeal of the Planning Commission's decision is filed in the Planning Office by Monday, September 29th, 2025 at 5 p.m. In the event of an appeal, the decision will be referred to the County Commission for a hearing on Tuesday, October 21st, 2025 at or after 9 a.m. The affected parties will be notified of the meeting date. Meetings of the County Commission are held in this same room. First item on the agenda is public input. Is there anyone who wishes to speak on an item that is not on the agenda? At this time, the Planning Commission will consider the consent agenda. Items on the consent agenda are perceived to be non-controversial and meet all the requirements of the codes and regulations. The consent agenda will be acted on in one motion with no public hearing on the items unless a member of the public, the commission, or staff requests the item be removed from the consent agenda. Next, I'll read each item on the consent agenda and ask if there are any issues or comments from the Planning Commission or the audience. If any member of the Planning Commission or the audience would like to be heard on the item, please raise your hand and the item will be moved to the regular agenda to allow you to address the Commission later in the meeting. Any items remaining on the consent agenda will be approved by the Planning Commission with the conditions recommended by our staff. Item number 1 is the approval of the minutes of the August 25th, 2025 meeting.
Motion to approve the minutes.
We'll move it as part of the whole consent agenda.
Yeah, we're going to wait until we get through all of it, okay? That's okay. Item number 2 is conditional use permit 25-51 to allow an electrical substation on the property legally described as Tract 1, Minnehaha County Substation Edition, the west half, Section 20, Township 103 North, Range 50 West. That is in Lyons Township. The petitioner is East River Electric Power Co-op Incorporated. Property owner is Jamin and Jackie Benson. The location is approximately 1 mile south of Lyons. Anyone from the commission, audience, or staff wish to be heard on this item?
I guess I just have a question. I know that we...
Sir, then we need to remove it from the consent agenda and move it to the regular agenda. Is that what you want to do?
I don't know, I've never done this before.
Yeah, let's go ahead and
Yeah,
remove item
We'll
2.
move it to the regular agenda then. Item number 3 is conditional use permit 25-53 to allow an accessory dwelling unit on the property legally described as Tract 1, Vanderhoff's Edition, Northwest Quarter, Section 11, Township 103 North, Range 50 West. That is in Lyons Township. The petitioner and property owner is Terrence Kleinert, located at 25146 470th Avenue. Anyone from the commission, audience, or staff wish to be heard on this item? Item number 4 is conditional use permit 25-55 to transfer one building eligibility from the southeast quarter, the northwest quarter, to the southwest quarter, the northwest quarter, within the south half, the northwest quarter. There is an exception of Tract 1, Jurgensen's Edition, end of exception. Section 35, Township 103 North, Range 49 West, that is Vierdop Township. Property owner and petitioner is Jerry Jurgensen, located approximately 5 miles south of Baltic along 476th Avenue. Anyone from the commission, staff, or audience wish to be heard on this item? Item number 5 is conditional use permit 25-56 to allow an accessory dwelling unit on the property legally described as Tract 6, Split Rock Estates, Section 35, Township 102 North, Range 48 West. That is in Brandon Township. The petitioner and property owner is Kyle Brown, located at 2303 East Redwood Boulevard. Anyone from the commission, staff, or audience wish to be heard on this item? Item number 6, is conditional use permit 25-57 to exceed 3,600 square feet of accessory building space, requesting 5,600 square feet on the property legally described as Tract 3, Nelson's Addition. There is an exception of Tract 3A, end of exception, Northwest Quarter, Section 28, Township 102 North, Range 47 West, that is in Red Rock Township. The petitioner and property owner is Jared Smart, located at 48647 260th Street. Anyone from the staff, commission, or audience wish to be heard on this item? Item number 7 is conditional use permit 25-58 to allow an accessory dwelling unit on the property legally described as Tract 5, Split Rock Estates, Section 35, Township 102 North, Range 48 West. That is in Brandon Township. The petitioner and property owner is Elizabeth Aker, located at 2215 East Redwood Boulevard. Anyone from the commission, staff, or audience wish to be heard on this item? Item number 8 is conditional use permit 25-59 to transfer 2 building eligibilities from the southeast quarter, northwest quarter, to the northeast quarter, the northwest quarter, and from the southwest quarter, the northwest quarter, to the northwest quarter, the northwest quarter, within Lot 1 and 2. There is an exception of H-1, end of exception. That is the northwest quarter, Section 6, Township 102 North, Range 47 West. That is in Red Rock Township. Petitioner and property owner is Orrin Sorensen, located approximately 2 miles south of Garrettson. Anyone from the commission, staff, or audience wish to be heard on this item? Okay. Petitioners? Commissioners?
Now I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda with the removing of item number 2 to the regular agenda.
Second.
I have a motion and second to approve the consent agenda, except for item 2, which will be moved to the regular agenda. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. If your item has been approved, you are free to go. We'll move on to the regular agenda. And item number 2.
I suppose it's probably best before I go through my whole staff report to maybe just ask the neighbor what their question is, and maybe we can just address that question specifically
Okay,
instead of
that's correct.
describing it.
Sir, you have a question. Will you please step forward, state your name and address?
My name is Scotty Lind. My address is 25357 467th Lyons. Anyway, my question is, and I've been talking to Jake Mara at the county, I have the most insanely dangerous driveway around. It's just over the top of a hill. So with East River moving across to the top of the hill, I was hoping to get with maybe the county and them to move my driveway up directly across from theirs so that it's on the top of a hill. Because as you're going north, my driveway is right over the top of the hill, and there's an incredible amount of truck traffic going to the elevator loaded that will never get stopped. I'm afraid someone's going to get in a horrible car wreck because of the location of my driveway. So my question was, is maybe if we could both work together, get my driveway up to the top of the hill and then get rid of the existing one that is there now. And I don't know if this is the time or place to ask this question, but
Mason, can you address that?
You want me to address it, or you?
No,
can
I
address it?
can't. I just didn't know if you had a question
No,
beforehand.
you can.
So yes, I did talk to this property owner when I was out doing my site visit, and he did mention this. I did send it off to Jacob Maris, the highway superintendent. I did let him know about you wanting to maybe move your driveway, and he said he was going to reach out to you. If he hasn't done that, I guess I'm not sure. I did send him your contact information that we had from your plat. So I do believe it does make sense because the highway department in the plat of the substation addition that you see in red here, you can see at the very north part is the existing driveway, and the highway department is making East River move it to the south because that is the top of the hill. So at basically the very south part of the, not all the way at the end, but pretty much the south part of the property in the red. And when I was doing my site visit, yeah, it is the driveway on the west side is right at a crest of a hill. So it's just on the other side of the hill where when people going north from the south can't quite see the traffic. But once you get over the hill, it's right in front of you. So it is a dangerous driveway, and the highway department does actually have a sign out there that says dangerous driveway ahead. But yes, I guess I did send it to Jacob, hoping that he would get in contact with you. But
okay.
Okay, at this point, that discussion has to be between him and you.
Excuse me?
That discussion will have to be between him, the highway department, and you.
Okay,
For the
okay.
driveway, to try to work that out.
Okay,
Okay?
all right, wonderful.
you.
Thank you.
Okay. Scott, should I just move on to have them?
We would recommend that you take action on the item with the conditions that we have recommended.
Okay, okay. Okay, commissioners.
Madam Chair, I'd make a motion to approve item 2.
I'll second that.
Okay, I have a motion second to approve conditional use permit 25-51. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. We'll move on to the regular agenda. Item number 9, conditional use permit 25-54 to allow a kennel on the property described as Lot 7A, 3 River Bluffs Addition, Southeast Quarter, Section 10, Township 101 North, Range 48 West, Split Rock Township. Petitioner is Jeremy and Stephanie Kaiser. They're also the property owners. 26375 South Bacardi Road.
yes,
Mason?
Commissioners, Mason Steffen from the County Planning Office again. So yes, earlier this summer, planning staff did receive concerns from neighbors that there was a boarding kennel operating on this property without the proper permits. You may remember that in July, this property owner did request an accessory dwelling unit on the property. So it was during that request that was brought up to us. Planning staff did confirm the existence of this operation through a Facebook page registered as Airbnb Bark and listed with this property as its operating address. And we did send a violation letter in the beginning of August, and the petitioner did apply for this conditional use permit within a day of receiving that letter. The petitioner did submit many documents before the meeting, and those were included in the packet. And then over the last week, they did try to submit additional documents, letters of support and other things, and those were submitted to you before the meeting tonight. So the petitioner does state that they did begin operating in April of 2023 with a small number of dogs and have slowly increased that number of dogs at the site. They also state that they called the city of Sioux Falls and the Minnehaha County regarding the necessary permits for this operation before starting, and they submitted Verizon call logs for this. However, the Verizon call logs that they submitted do not list the Minnehaha County Planning and Zoning Office as a phone number. It lists the Minnehaha County Clerk of Courts, Minnehaha County Human Resources, and Minnehaha County Register of Deeds. There was a little bit of confusion. It seems that if you Google, I'm not exactly sure, but a Google search result can lead people the wrong way and think that they're talking that phone number is the Planning and Zoning Office. But if you actually click into the Minnehaha County website, our phone number is not one of the phone numbers listed. The submitted narrative does explain that that the kennel will be located within a portion of an attached garage, so one of the stalls in the attached garage of the newly constructed house. and that this will include space for up to 12 animals at a time, but that it'll be on average 7 animals, and that this will be connected to an outdoor fenced playing area on the north side of the property. The petitioner has limited the pickup and drop-off times to 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. And then staff did conduct a site visit to the site on September 5th, 2025. Since I had already been out to the site in August, I guess I just kind of did a drive-by in September to see if anything had changed. But in August, was out at the site for the accessory dwelling unit, and I did not see any dogs on the site. Now, knowing that there was a kennel there, I did see the outdoor fenced playing area, which you will see in the pictures that I'll present. I guess I just assumed it was for either kids or their own personal dog. There were no dogs out there at that time. And then additionally, this property is part of the Three River Bluffs addition. However, it does have its own separate access off of South McCarty Road. So there's this 6-lot subdivision that is called the Three River Bluffs addition that was all platted as one subdivision and rezoned to rural residential in the 80s and early 90s. But this Lot 7A was platted in 1995, I believe, 95 or 96. And as you can see, it has its own separate access, like I mentioned. The distance between the new building or the new house is roughly here. It was built within the last couple of years after we got our latest imagery, so it's not on this picture here, but it's roughly here. And it's approximately 350, 375 feet to the nearest residence to the south. With every conditional use permit, we do look at 6 criteria, and I'll just go over those briefly. So number 1 is that the effect upon the use and enjoyment of property in the immediate vicinity for the uses already permitted and upon property values. So it is located in an area where residential development is limited by the available building eligibilities, and this property is separated from those existing residences to the south by several hundred feet, and it also has that separate access point off of South McCarty Road. Since it is being operated within an attached garage and the dogs will be required to be indoors over the late night and early morning hours, the effect on the neighboring properties should be minimal during the during the normal business days, the dogs will either be inside or they'll be being watched by the petitioner. And then at night and in the early morning, they'll be required to be indoors. Number 2, that the effect upon the normal and orderly development and improvement of the surrounding vacant property for use is predominant in the area. The predominant land use in the area is still agriculture. You can see it here, even though there is the residential houses to the south. The property is surrounded on pretty much all other sides by agricultural land, and the land across the road to the east is all ag land. And there is one vacant lot in the subdivision, so there could be potential for one more house in this area. And these properties are zoned rural residential, but the way that they are subdivided, there's not really a way to subdivide these lots into having more than one additional house. These lots aren't big enough to subdivide them in the way the houses are to make additional density on each one of these lots. Number 3, that utilities, access roads, drainage, and/or other necessary facilities are provided. The property is fully developed with that new house that I mentioned here, the older house that is now approved as an accessory dwelling unit, and then a new accessory building in between the two here. The Three River Bluff addition, this property does have a separate access from the Three River Bluff addition off of South McCarty Road. And since it will be operating an existing structure, it should not impact the drainage in the surrounding area. Number 4, that the off-street parking and loading requirements are met. Customers pickup and drop off will be throughout the day, and at max, there'll be 12 dogs in the facility. Most of the time, those pickup and drop-offs won't happen all at the same time, so there isn't large amounts of traffic that will be needed for people to come and be parked all at the same time. It'll be in and out throughout the day, so the property is large enough to accommodate the off-street parking that would be needed for this operation. Number 5, that measures are taken to control offensive odor, fumes, dust, noise, vibration, and lighting, inclusive of lighted signs, so that none of these will constitute a nuisance. The main nuisance that would happen from a kennel is noise, obviously, from barking dogs. Keeping the dogs inside during the overnight and early morning hours will obviously help with this during the time that it would be most of a nuisance to the neighbors when they're trying to sleep. And the planning department will obviously visit the site if we receive any complaints about any violation of these conditions if this were to be approved. Additionally, if they do install any lighting, it will need to be fully cut off and fully shielded to prevent light pollution, but most of the site is already developed and it will be inside of an existing house, so there shouldn't really be much of a lighting issue. Again, that main one will be the noise from the barking dogs when they are outside. Number 6, that the health, safety, general welfare of the public and the comprehensive plan. Given the proper care and supervision of the animals, the proposed kennel should not affect the health, safety, and general welfare of the public. And the petitioner did submit documentation, I was just gonna find it here, that they are a fear-free certified professional, and I did Google that earlier today, and it does require some sort of training. I didn't fully look into exactly what exactly all the training was, but to have that certified, you have to do at least some training to have that certification. Additionally, with the recommended conditions of approval, that will help to limit any nuisances to the surrounding property owners, as I mentioned, with the being required to be indoors overnight. Additionally, the property is located within the transition area of the comprehensive plan, but the primary purpose of the transition area is to maintain the rural character until the eventual municipal development. This property is in the transition area, but it's maybe hard to see here where the black star is. It's kind of basically directly south of Brandon. It's not really in an area that has a ton of pressure for residential growth right now. A lot of the area in between Brandon and this is Huset Speedway, a lot of floodplain. So it will unlikely probably be that this will be annexed for a while. And allowing a kennel on this property is unlikely to affect the rural character of the area in a major way. With that, staff does recommend approval of this conditional use permit with 7 conditions. And I'll just go through some pictures that I mentioned. So as I mentioned, I did drive by the site in September. I didn't do a full site visit since I was just there a month before, but I do have some pictures from back in August. So this is looking to the southeast down the driveway for this site. You can see it comes off of South McCarty Road and then turns to the northwest up to the house. And these are the shelter belt of trees that are right here in this picture for the neighbor. So then this is looking a little bit pretty much directly west. You can see the new house here about right here on the imagery there. And then it's kind of hard to see in this picture, but this is the house. And then right here is the fenced in area that is considered the outdoor play area for the kennel. So yeah, when I was there, as you can see, there were no dogs outside at that time when I did my site visit. And then this is looking at the house that was built in 2019 that has since been approved as the ADU. Looking a little bit further directly to the northeast, just seeing that there's mostly farmland there. Yeah, I guess if you have any questions for me, or if you want me to read the conditions, I can. Otherwise, I'll just go back to the overhead picture here.
Any questions for him?
Just one clarifying question, Mason. So that the house we can see there, that is now considered the secondary use. That's the accessory dwelling unit, and there's a new primary residence. Did I follow that?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. So if I go back to the picture here, this is probably the best way to see it. So this is the new house, which if you look over here at the imagery, it would be about right here. And then the accessory dwelling unit, which is what you see in this imagery, is just off right where this driveway goes over here. So then if I go to this next image, you can see that here.
And it's the accessory dwelling unit that has the kennel?
No,
Okay,
it
it
is
has-
inside this building here. So it's,
Okay, thank you.
yeah, this is the primary dwelling that you can't see on this imagery. It has the 2-stall garage, the single-stall garage, and it's this end single stall here
Okay.
where all the kennels are located, right connected to that outdoor play area. So the dogs will either be in there or in that outdoor play area.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, thanks, Mason. Is the petitioner here? Will you please step forward, state your name and address?
I'm Stephanie, this is Jeremy Kaiser, address 26375 South McCarty Road. Sorry. Or do you just want us to?
Do a little history of it?
Do you have any
Oh.
any additional comments about what you're doing there and?
Okay, so in 2023, so we have 3 daughters, and in 2023, we started this with my oldest daughter, Kinsley, she's 14. They all have their own little jobs. We thought it was a fun way for them to be involved in learning some responsibility. So we have a little manager, a director of arts and crafts, and director of small breeds is the youngest. Like Mason said, and thank you for that report, Mason, we did do our due diligence in trying to get the proper answers, get the proper permits. I work in HR for the biggest law firm in South Dakota, and I'm not looking to do anything that we shouldn't be doing. So we're happy to be here today. We want to do things the right way. What I sent over to Mason today, that I apologize, it sounds like that big file didn't make it last week to you guys. So I hope you've had an opportunity to see that. I did some of my own GIS mapping to kind of indicate, other kennels in the county that have been approved based on their relationship to their neighbors. Honestly, I think our closest neighbor was like 300 feet away. So additionally in that packet, there's probably 35, 40 letters of recommendation, approval. We also have direct neighbors here, and some clients of ours that are a testament to the work that we do. We feel like we serve our community in a manner that is necessary. We're not out to make millions of dollars. We're very reasonable on our pricing. We also take into consideration things like, Chelsea's going on a long vacation in a few months, and hey, would you cut me a break this time? Absolutely, because I want to treat people the way that I want to be treated. And so that was really the intention behind it. We have our own 2 dogs that we didn't love the care that they were getting, and so it was like, I always think I can do things just a little bit better. So my dad could attest to that.
And part of it is we have seen, dog kennels in Brandon and the surrounding areas struggle to stay open. There has been a few that have closed, and there's one in Brandon where we came back from vacation and they were covered in stuff that they shouldn't be covered in. So that was really the main purpose behind this is we love animals, mainly dogs, and giving them the care that we feel that they deserve, and it's needed in the area. So another thing that Mason, I don't know if it made the report or not, but the 4th stall, or the stall that they're in, there is sound barriers in there as well. So it's fully soundproof. That has been added because I don't want to hear them in my own house, let alone the neighbors. So yeah, and it's fully air conditioned, fully heat. Everything about it is sustainable for year round. So I guess that's kind of the long and short of it. So
Okay, anyone have any questions for them?
Madam Chair.
Joe?
Mason left us in suspense. We got to know what goes into the fear-free certification.
Oh, okay. So I got that because, I wanted to be legit, but I think it was like 200 hours of anywhere from making sure that dogs get along to cleaning supplies appropriately. You don't even, you have to sanitize appropriately. You have to check for diseases. We also have an app that we utilize that ensures that people have vaccines for their dogs, because I won't take dogs that aren't fully vaccinated, specifically with Bordetella and those sort of things. So anyways, there's a test at the end, and included cats. We don't watch cats. We have a coonhound that'll chase them away. But yeah, so
Okay, thank you.
yes, you bet.
and we do get specific with the dogs that we accept. We will not accept, the traditionally, maybe
Rottweilers.
more aggressive dogs. We have kids and we don't want anything exposed to that also, so.
It's supposed to be a fun thing for our family, our kids. I beg my husband to let me quit my job most of the time and do this because I enjoy this more. And he says no, but that's okay. So,
Anyone else have any questions for them? Thank you.
thank you.
Anyone from the audience care to address this item? Please step forward, state your name and address.
Apologies, standing's a little difficult for me right now. Dana Potts, 48198 Three River Circle. I'm one of the houses in the cul-de-sac that's next to them. I'm also the HOA president of the Three River Circle, which we are separate from the Kaiser's property as we have an HOA, but there is covenants for their lot and our lots. I do have a copy of those covenants if you'd like to see them. So I've also, as a HOA president, taken several complaints of the noise that has come from them running a dog kennel. I also did reach out to Stephanie last year when the noise started getting excessive. And my last conversation, I was basically told I was lying and that dogs will bark. I do have a copy of that conversation if you'd like to see that too. My husband and myself both work from home, so any noise is very disruptive. I know there's a few other people in the neighborhood who also work from home. The other concern I have is our property value. In doing research, a dog kennel next to your property can negatively impact your value. In my research, it said anywhere between 5 and 20% it can degrade the value of your property, so I have concerns there. In the covenants, it does state that you are only to have house pets, not other pets, and you are not allowed to run a business enterprise, including self-employed businesses where the public is invited. That is filed under the deeds here with the county. And as I said, we have noticed they are taking in anywhere between 2 and 12 dogs at a time. This summer alone, there's been 1 to twice a week, I would say, on average. We hear dogs barking anywhere from 1 to 6 hours at a time straight. I do have audio recording if you'd like to hear that. Granted, it's from my cell phone. I brought a speaker so you can hear it. We all know what dogs bark. I'm happy to play it for you if you wish. Example, I had surgery. I'm at home, my window's open, I'm quite a distance. I have an ice machine running, I have the TV going, and I can still hear the dogs barking for 5 hours straight over all of that. That's where I get concerned because I have dogs. I love dogs. I don't want to hear them bark for hours on end. A lot of times we notice they're not home when this is happening, or I'm not sure if they're leaving windows open. I will say you can tell a difference in the sound where it sounds sometimes the windows have been left open or the windows are shut. Either way, we can still hear it. There's been times midnight. It's nice out. I want to have my windows open. I can't because there's dogs barking and I can't go to sleep with dog noise. Looking through under the county for the conditional use permit, I did find under Article 23 General Provisionings for Zoning Districts, 23.07, it says interpreting and applying provisions of these regulations, they shall be held to the minimum requirements for promotion of public safety, health, convenience, comfort, morals, prosperity, and yeah, you know what I mean. I'm troubled with that word. And general welfare. It is not the intent to repeal, abrogate, or impair any existing easements, covenants, or deed restrictions. However, where these restrictions and other regulations, easement, covenant, and deed restriction conflict or overlap, whichever imposes a more stringent restrictions shall prevail. And that's where I'm asking to please not allow this conditional use permit, let the covenant stand where they're not supposed to have additional pets or run a business. I also have conversations with the developer who is named on the covenant. They stated they have not given permission to them to run this business. And then last point, they were supposed to have a signage at the end of the property. I was a little taken aback. The sign is, if you've seen in the pictures, there's a big tree. It's against the big tree, hidden in the weeds. And that's really not a good public display that this meeting was gonna happen. My last point to make is Lee and Faye Lofness that live on the neighboring property. They were not allowed to come here tonight. They have some health concerns and issues happening, but they did want me to voice that they are upset. You know, they've moved out here 25 years ago before all the houses were in, and the barking is getting to them. And if this does pass, they say they will go down the route of constantly calling into the county when the dogs are barking. That's my last point. Any questions for me? No? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else care to address this item? You'll have to step forward, state your name and address.
Hi, my name is Corey Thompson, and that's my husband Steve with me. And we are neighbors to the north on McCarty. And if it's okay, my printer didn't work, and I've got some notes, so if I can just kind of read those to you. Some of the things were answered by Stephanie and Jeremy and by Mason. So I'll just kind of say that this was a concern, or if there was still an additional question. Ours were mostly questions, and yeah, so we live north and on the family homestead. So it's been 150 years in the family. Our little road, just, I know you probably have some idea, but it's just 2 miles long. So it's gravel, it's a township road, and with all the additional houses and many of the other things, it's getting a lot more traffic. And that's not all due to just, just people trying to have a kennel or other things. So, and the township is trying to address some of that. So, but we live to the north, and the closest property to Jeremy and Stephanie is on the one picture, is just kind of across their driveway right to the northeast. But our home is the closest home to the north. And so we live there, and it's a little S-curve in that gravel road. And so with a small section only of Mr. Dwayne Bilkowski's property, of which some of that used to be the homestead, but that's right behind our house. And that is a little bit of a barrier between our place and Stephanie and Jeremy's. So our biggest concern about anything is the traffic that gets created on our little residential agricultural road. That's what it's zoned. These houses have been added, I'd say most of them in the last 7 years or so. Faye and Loftusness live down there and have been there many years. We've lived out there. I've lived out there since we were married, 34 years, Steve 36 years. It's his family's homestead. The traffic has increased a lot. And so what we didn't know was like how many animals. So that's been answered by that they are asking for 12. But for me, then 12 people coming and going on our gravel road. We're right on the gravel road. So all of those cars go by our house. I shouldn't say all of them, most of them. As you may know, 264 is still blocked off. They haven't reopened that with fixing the bridges, and that's a big concern in our area. We had our neighborhood McCarty Park picnic, and a lot of people are very concerned about the excessive traffic and the high speeds. And the township is aware of that. People have complained about that and looking into what they can do with that. But that's, so for, if it's one dog per week, then that would be, 4 extra times somebody's driving back and forth in front of our house or up and down the road. There is access from the south, so that doesn't mean all of them would come by our house. But the road is in disrepair at times because the township can't keep up. They do a good job, they try to, but with all the excessive traffic, our biggest concern about anything about a business in our neighborhood is excessive traffic and more traffic. So with 12, again, that'd be multiplied times 4 times back and forth, and when they come and pick them up another time. And that just, of course, brings more dust, more disrepair, or whatever. So really, that's our biggest concern with it. We are animal lovers ourselves. We, on our farm, we still have cattle that we pasture from May till October, typically. We have cropland across from Kaiser's driveway area and all around us down across over by Huset's, there's some. And so we have a little bit of a buffer with that. I would have a concern, we would have a concern about the noise there's dogs barking. We have a dog, he barks occasionally, and we know Stephanie and Jeremy have 2 dogs, they bark occasionally. But when you start adding a lot of dogs in a neighborhood that's down the wind, that's coming up, that would be the concern. So the buffer helps me understand that they're trying hard to, keep that under, but I'm not as close, as the other neighbors, with the house coming, we're north from them. So that's our biggest concern, is for the road. I don't know, the question would be is like, when businesses come, and we know everybody probably, they have to do sales tax or whatever, but does the township get more money for all that extra, traffic that's really, again, it's a 2-mile residential agricultural road. With Brandon development, there's been a little extra traffic going anyway, so it's not all about just, a few people moving out to our area. Delivery traffic, if you have a business, we know, with just the more houses, we have a lot of prime vans going by, a lot of UPS trucks and all of that, because of course people are having things delivered more and more these days. But again, if you have a business, you would, have more probably deliveries, I'm assuming, instead of picking that up.
Ma'am, your 5 minutes are up.
Okay, well, do you want Steve to come up? Okay, so that's our biggest, most of the questions for us, the noise, the lighting, they have a lot of lighting on their house, which is in our backyard, but there's a building there, and if there's no additional lighting planned, that's it. The other thing would be a control of the animals. If that fence back there is open, lots of dogs jump, and the size of breeds, I heard Jeremy say that you're not taking aggressive animals. I'd be concerned more so if there's German Shepherds there that jump or get away and lose control, and then they're roaming the neighborhood, then, little poodles. We don't have as much of an issue with that, so, thank you.
Your time is up. They can address maybe some of the questions after. Anybody else care to address this item? Step forward, state your name and address.
My name is Lacey Inglechez. I live at 48197 Three River Circle. So I would say I'm a little distance, probably the furthest distance in the cul-de-sac. I can still hear the barking, even at night. I can hear the barking, which concerns me because I can't open my windows like Dana was stating. It really sucks. I moved to the country because I didn't want to hear noise. I don't want my house to have a devalue because of the kennel. I feel that's unfair. I moved out to this property because I want it to be an investment when I get older. I don't want my property to be devalued because somebody has a kennel. I think that's quite unfair. I do not agree that the dogs are not barking at night. I don't think that's true because I've heard it several times. At first I thought it was coyotes before I even knew that they even have a business, and then I realized I've lived here a lot longer than that. Why is it all changed? It's because they have a kennel, which I was quite upset about because we got told we couldn't have businesses out there basically. And I mean, I'm sure several others, my husband does construction, maybe that's something I would have thought about. But I don't have a business because we can't have businesses out there, and I think it's unfair that they can. But those are my biggest concerns. I don't agree that they do keep their dogs quiet because I know it's not. We've even had sittings in the afternoon where we go out by our fire pits and the dogs are barking nonstop, and it's annoying. I don't want to listen to it all the time. But those are my biggest concerns. Do you have any questions for me?
Not at this time. Anyone else? Please step forward, state your name and address.
My name is Chelsea Buchanan, and I live at 2013 Riverbend, and I don't live in the neighborhood, but I do take my dogs out to Airbnb Bark fairly regularly as my children play soccer, and we are gone a lot for tournaments. And in preparation for this meeting, I stopped at the end of the driveway when I dropped them off on Friday or on Saturday morning, and the dogs were inside, and I could not hear them at the end of the driveway. So I understand, but I live in a neighborhood, and within 300 feet of my house are 40 dogs, because we all have dogs in our neighborhood. I do live in town, but there's significantly more dogs in my neighborhood than they keep at their property. I have taken our dogs to no less than a dozen kennels in Minnehaha County. And we used to live in Minnesota, so tons of kennels, and none of them take as good a care of our two dogs that Stephanie and Jeremy and the kids do. We treat our dogs like family members, and when they are there, they are treated the same way. Other kennels keep them in their boxes. They don't let them come out and play. They don't let them stretch their legs. They do come back smelling awful. When they come back from their house, I don't have to worry about them being treated well. I don't have to worry about them being fed and medicated the way that they are supposed to, because I have a 10-year-old Australian Shepherd who is a pain in the butt. And they do a really good job maintaining his coat and making sure that he is taking his vitamins and making sure that he is eating, which he doesn't normally do when I take him to the kennel. So this has been a blessing for us to find them. Like they said, several kennels in Brandon have opened and closed because it's difficult. And to have found them really put a comfort in my husband and I's hearts when we have to take our kids to their tournaments or whatever. So to not have them would be a huge disservice to the Brandon community. They are very involved. I see them at the school all the time. Their kids go to the same schools as my children do. And so having that connection has been pretty important to us as far as our dogs' well-being when we are away. So I understand their complaints. Dogs are noisy, but they could come to my street and they would hear dogs all day long. And so I know that they're not out for 5 hours at a time because I can't have my dogs outside. Bernie can be outside for about 30 minutes, and she sends me pictures and videos every time of them playing and making sure that they're watered and everything is the way that I would want it. So yeah, I just wanted to support them today because it's important for us to have this service in Brandon. So thanks.
Thank you. Please step forward, state your name and address.
Hi, my name is Kim Brewer, and I live at 48186 Three Rivers Circle in the cul-de-sac. I do want to thank Jeremy and Stephanie for the care that they have given the dogs. My daughter's dog, when she was going through a difficult time, we really needed to have someone take care of Lexi, and they helped us out greatly with that, and we do appreciate it. My husband and I's biggest concern is with a conditional use permit, will that allow them to expand their kennel business? We feel that if right now, the way the situation is set up with the garage and the extra sound panels and that is definitely help with the noise, but there's still barking and that. But we just are really concerned that, that it could be expanded if they're given it a conditional use. And so I'd like to hear a little bit more about that, what this would mean if they were given use of it. Did they have to stay at that 10 dogs, or how would that be?
Okay. We'll have them come up, but maybe they can address it.
I'm Kim's husband, Todd, and we don't want to have any issues with Jeremy and Stephanie. We really don't. As Kim said, if they could not go over 10 dogs, we're okay with it. As long as somebody's taking care of the dogs on the weekends whenever they're out of town, because they travel a lot during the summer, and even though they may not understand it, we've been outside on a Friday or Saturday night, and those dogs will bark for 3 or 4 hours. Now, with the new home, it has changed a lot. But we're not as against the kennel as much as we don't understand how whenever there are covenants in place that you can go against when you purchase property with the understanding that you have covenants that you have to live by and you don't. What's the ramifications for that? And that's probably my biggest thing is I believe in, if rules are made and you purchase property under those circumstances, you should live by them. Unless you have the developer, which is the only one that can, from what I understand, come back and agree that you can change the covenants. That's all I have. But like I say, I like Jeremy and Stephanie, and like Kim said, they've helped us out, and we don't want to have any issues with it. Thank you.
Anyone else? You want to step forward, state your name and address?
My name is Angie Kaiser, and we live in the ADU, which is part of their property. And I just have to say that the dogs have never bothered us. We do hear noise out there. We hear barking. We hear barking from the northeast of our dwelling as well. So it just isn't coming from this property. I hear roosters crowing, and I understand that there's not supposed to be roosters in the covenants. We hear the races going on at Huset's, and really none of those noises bother me. We just moved here a couple months ago here, and lived in town, and it's so peaceful out there. It's no comparison to where we were. And like I said, the dogs don't bother us. The roosters don't bother us. The Huset's doesn't bother us. The traffic, there's more traffic than just coming to their place. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else? State your name and address, please.
I'm Keisha Stoffren. I live at 1708 South Parkview Boulevard in Brandon. I, like one of the previous speakers, have a dog. I'm a pet owner. I am one of the individuals who wrote a letter in support of Jeremy and Stephanie that you received. Oakley is my dog. He is a golden doodle. He is a very lovable animal. I have taken him to many kennels throughout the city and throughout Brandon, and Stephanie and Jeremy's place is the only place that I want to take my dog. He comes home smelling great. I get pictures from them every time he is there. My husband sent a picture the other night when he dropped him off of Oakley laying on top of Stephanie because she loves him and he loves her. I don't feel bad leaving him there because he's excited and he's happy when he comes home, and they are a great option for us, and if we do lose them, it will be a disservice to our community. Thank you.
Please step forward. State your name and address.
Barb Vanderham, this is my husband Jeremy Vanderham. We are at 48195 Three River Circle, so part of the cul-de-sac and neighbors of Stephanie. I did write a letter in support of the kennel. We were, I feel like, one of the very first patrons of their kennel business. They've taken excellent care of our animals. So they've taken care of my my mom's dog as well. I will say that, there were times, I work from home too. So there were times in the summertime that I did hear barking, but ever since they've moved into their new place, I've never heard it. So granted, there is dog barking. I go for walks. When I walk by different properties, I get the dogs barking. When I walk by other properties, dogs chase me. So it just is a natural thing, I think, in our neighborhood. I definitely would be one that would be against a lot of excessive dog noises, and I don't hear that. So granted, we're not home every weekend, but we're home. We like to have the windows open, the back door open, and we're fairly close. So the other thing I'll say is the traffic that can come from a lot of different places. Yes, I understand that it's kennel business coming in, but I have 2 teenagers. Their friends are coming and going. I know there's more teenagers in our neighborhood coming and going. So there's just a lot of traffic on that road, and I don't think it's any excessive due to their business. So that's all I wanted to say.
Thank you. Anyone else before I close the floor?
Before we close close the floor, would you like the applicant to come back up to rebut
that'd be
or
right.
just answer any questions that came up?
A couple things. One of the neighbors mentioned dogs barking excessively, and the time that she spoke to me about it, those were our dogs. We have two of our own. And they are in, you saw the white kennel from time to time, but following that discussion with her, now I would say 99% of the time those dogs are inside. Because if you've ever met a coonhound, she'll let you know that she's got something to say. So boarding dogs and our dogs are two completely different scenarios.
Yeah, our one dog is the loudest one, and that one has been moved inside throughout the day because we want to be sympathetic and we want to be understanding of the neighbors, and so that has been adjusted.
The other topic was the covenants. This business isn't open to the public. You have to have an appointment to come on my property. You have to have your vaccine records up to date. We are not open. We are not a daycare. We are specifically weekends for the most part. Every now and then we'll have a dog during the week, but
Yeah, and another part of the covenants where it says no business, if you keep reading the second sentence, it does say the business can be inside your house.
which it is.
And that's exactly where it is. So,
Corey, what did you have other questions, Corey, that I didn't address?
I'd be interested in if you have any opinion on a limitation on the total number of dogs.
Yeah, I think what Mason's recommendation right now are, I would say during a normal weekend, we have 4 to 7 dogs. On a busy weekend, 4th of July, Labor Day, that sort of thing, we generally fill up those 12 kennels. But I would definitely be open to saying, hey, you can only do the max 12, which is what Mason had recommended.
yeah, and
Go ahead.
oh, sorry. I guess I have my own maximum limitations as well. We both have full-time jobs, and then obviously, she comes home during the lunch hour and stuff like that. So, we're not looking to expand. And if we do expand, it's going to be off the site at a different, at an actual new spot with a new building, and that would be her full-time job. So. But yeah, on the weekends, they are supervised on the weekends. We do travel a lot. We have made the choice that one of us will stay home on the weekends. That's a personal choice. I was just in Milwaukee with my middle daughter, and she stayed home. So, yeah, we will miss out a little bit here and there, but that's a decision we've made. So.
And go ahead, Cindy.
So I have a question. We've closed the floor, ma'am, so we're just talking to them. But I have a question about, were you in a different building and then you built this house and moved them in there?
Yep. So we were in the what's now the ADU.
Yep. And so how long ago did you move? Because I'm assuming that the sound has changed because now it's a different situation.
Yep. So now we're in the blue house
Yep.
in that picture in that 4-stall garage.
And when did you move in there?
March.
Oh, so you did just move in there.
Mhm.
Anyone else have any questions for them? Go ahead, Cindy.
Just about the covenant. Obviously, you're aware of it, so you are not in non-compliance of the covenant?
Correct.
Okay.
As I said, I work for attorneys and I've run it by them as well. So.
Okay.
Okay. Go ahead.
Well,
Would you be acceptable to a limitation on here for 12 dogs? Because right now, that is not part of the conditional use permit.
Oh, okay. I apologize. I thought that was one of the.
I don't see it. Maybe I'm missing it.
It was not part of one of the conditions. It was just mentioned in the staff report that was the limit that you guys had.
You're
So
right, Mason.
if they want to add it as a condition, they would need to do that.
And can I recommend doing 12 kennels versus 12 dogs?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because some
That-
might
that-
have
thank you for
two little guys.
Anyone else have any questions for them? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chairman, I just would encourage you to put a number on the dogs, not number of kennels, because the problem with that is you you may have someone that wants to put 5 dogs in a kennel, and then suddenly you have 70 dogs, so, or 60 dogs. I would just encourage you to put a number on there, and that's what they have to stick to, not kennels.
Okay,
Thank you.
Commissioners?
And Madam Chair, I'll just make
Go ahead, John.
one general comment and kind of look to my friend from the state's attorney's office, but my understanding is we have no opinion and are passing no judgment on any covenants or lack thereof. That'd be contract law that would go to Second Circuit Judicial Court. That's outside our jurisdiction. We're just the land use, the conditional use permit in front of us. If there are other covenants or contracts between property owners, that would be outside of this. So we're not taking a position for or against anything there. Is that a fair? I'm getting a nodding head from our state's attorney's office that that's just keeping things separate in their lanes, and we'll stay in our lane as the Land Use Planning and Zoning Commission.
Okay, commissioners?
Well, Madam Chair, it sounded like there was some appetite to just know that this wasn't going to grow. I would note that this conditional use permit, condition 6, is personal to these owners, and so if there was successors in interest to the property or the business, they would have to come back before us. That would, and we would get to assess their use of the property. But I think there's some appetite for an additional. They've got 12 kennels there, but we want to set a limit on the number of dogs. I guess I would just throw out to my colleagues, could we just use the round number of 15, no more than 15 dogs, unless someone else has a strong opinion on a lower number. I think I would just throw out 15. So maybe I would make a motion to amend and add an additional condition that there be no more than 15 dogs at any given time.
Is that a motion?
That's a motion for amendment.
I second.
Okay. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
And then
Point of order.
we still need the
We need to
the
have a
full
motion. That was
CUP.
just on
That's
the
just
amendment.
amended.
Okay.
I guess I'm supportive of this in the sense of I think we have approved other similarly situated kennels with similarly situated residences in the vicinity. I think we've pretty well established to my satisfaction that these are professionals running a tight ship that are trying their best to be good neighbors and have been operating in good faith here. So I defer for any other discussion from my colleagues, but I'd be prepared to make a motion to approve the CUP.
I second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. We'll move on, old business?
So, old business, did you say, Madam Chairman? Okay, under old business. I wanted to remind the commission that tomorrow is the second reading of rezoning 2502 for the Volund Oil on the Midway Road. So that second reading is tomorrow at 9 a.m. in front of the county commission. So I will leave it at that.
New business?
So under new business, I'd like to show you something on the Elmo, and it's getting pulled up here.
I was number 4. Does that mean I can go home?
Correct.
She said that earlier.
Correct. I don't think he heard that. Jeez.
Poor guy.
So I wanted to let you know that over the past week, we have had 3 people from this agenda, from this planning commission agenda, contact us with phishing attempts to have wired money to a off-site location for $5,000. And I wanted to let you know that because the public will hear this as well. And you may be also contacted by people out in the community that know that you're on the planning commission. But this was, so it was first, let's look at the email here. So this is what Stephanie Aker had provided to me. And she had contacted us last week and said, hey, this, I got this invoice from you for $5,000. And it's signed by me and it has our logo. Looks very legitimate. But if you look at it, you will notice that the email address is planning@Minnehaha, let's see, I don't have it. Yeah. So it's at USA.com, which is not our website. And there's a couple other, little things that are off. If you look at this invoice, it has a number of 2402, which is, we're in a 25 dash something. And there's an issue date that's wrong. So there's a few things that are just off. But if you look at it, the amount that they were trying to collect was substantial, and it would sort of sound like planning items where it's a public notice and hearing coordination, writing our staff report and recommendation preparation, site plan review. So I'm just letting people know that we never send wire requests to our customers to wire money to us. We will either ask you to come in person and pay that fee. We never ask the public to wire us money. So if anyone should get these, please disregard them or call the office. I have alerted our IT office, and unfortunately, it's very difficult to shut this down. So it is regrettable, but I just wanted to make you aware that this has happened, and it is discouraging and frustrating. So. Thank you.
Scott,
I had a couple comments. I mentioned to Scott, I think he should contact the local papers, and that should be in there. I would also suggest Joe bringing it up, or Scott bringing it up tomorrow at the commission meeting. And there was something else I thought. There's another place you should tell him. I mean, it obviously needs to go out.
It needs to get out because it's concerning. I don't want someone.
Big deal.
Yeah, if someone were to lose $5,000, I don't want them to come back and say, the county should have done more. And
Kello was the other one. I don't know if you just said that too. Kello, if you call Kello, they've been really good about putting scams on the news, and I think that'd be another really good place to hit.
Because it has our logo, it says me on there, and it looks very legitimate. It looks very legitimate.
And Scott,
Go ahead, Becky.
Go ahead, Becky.
I'm wondering, does it appear to be people who have applied?
Yes.
Or done business? So
It was 3 of the 8 people that had conditional use permits on this agenda.
Okay, thank you for your clarification. So we don't know that it's been sent to any previous people, but who knows?
Not that I know of. And all this information you can glean off the web.
Yeah.
Yeah, but do they say who the wire transfer should go to?
You click on a link in the first email, and then
Yeah,
it takes
it shows wire transfer.
To someplace in another country.
Yeah.
Maybe just alerting everyone that comes in for conditional use
And we're
permits at this
talking
point.
about, Mason and I talked about it today, because 2 more popped up today, that when we send out the information that goes out in the packet to tell them to send out their hearing notices and those type of things, maybe we'll do a half-sheet colored flyer that goes in there that says, if you get contacted to wire money, please disregard that. Your fees have been paid. And I don't know how we're going to word that, but I thought it might be good so they're aware that I don't want people coming at them, and just trying to protect our public.
Yeah, that was going to be my suggestion, Scott, is somehow if we know the people that are being targeted are on next month's agenda, somehow in the scripting of how we communicate with them, if we can get upstream of that and tell them that, hey, don't pay in this method, you're going to be contacted in a more legitimate way.
Yeah. And so I sort of see this as a multi-prong approach of the media, county items from the public, telling you, we'll send it directly to people that are applying for maybe a next couple months, and hopefully this goes away. But, there's always people out scamming, and that's just regrettable. So thank you.
Scott, could you probably forward that to the planning commission?
Yeah, I can forward you.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea that we at least have that.
Tomorrow to talk about it tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can do that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, everyone.